You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan.
Welcome to Women's Media Center Live, and Happy New Year! I'm Robin Morgan, and it's good to be back with you after our short hiatus over the solstice holidays. And are we ever starting 2015 off in style with a great opening show today? My first guest is the highest-ranking woman at the United Nations whose focus is on women's human rights, Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka. My second guest is TV political commentator, writer, editor, and publisher of The Nation, Katrina Heuvel. And my third guest is simply one of the funniest and wisest women alive, the incomparable Lily Tomlin. And I'm going to ask her to take us behind the scenes and tell us what it feels like to be one of the recipients, as she recently was, of the Kennedy Honors for Greatness in the American Arts. All in all, an exciting show. But before we get into any of that, we need to look inside the headlines. While we were on hiatus over the holidays, the furor post-Ferguson and the Michael Brown shooting rose to a higher intensity after the shocking, smothering murder of Eric Garner in New York and the jury's non-indictment about that, a Staten Island jury, the most conservative borough in the city of New York. And then people marching all over the country, hands in the air, chanting, "Hands up, don't shoot," and chanting Garner's desperate last plea, "I can't breathe." But some people, a few, chanted obscenities at the cops. I know how easy that is to chant pigs, which is inaccurate, unfair to cops, and even unfair to pigs, and also linguistically bereft of imagination in the curse department. Nonetheless, I did that myself in the 70s. The 1970s, I profiled cops and I stereotyped them. Well, as usual, in this case as well, the cops began pushing back, literally as well as figuratively. There's been an arrest slowdown in New York City, and there are the infamous turned backs to the mayor at the funerals, and turned backs by extension to his biracial family. Disrespect on purpose. And the ghosts rose and walked. From my years in the civil rights movement when I was young, and the hatred and, yes, profound disrespect we whites faced outside agitators doing voter registration, which was nothing remotely as hard as compared to what our black colleague activists faced lifelong. And still, today, when we've decoded the genome, peered into time and seen the birth of this universe, and spied on the so-called God particle, today in the United States of America, still, apparently we need to continue marching and chanting, "Black Lives Matter." That cry was countered with one from police officers, feeling dissed and dismissed, feeling they daily risk their lives and yet are lumped together and stereotyped and denounced as racists, sworn at, pelted with rocks. "Blue lives matter," they countered. I happened on the funeral of Officer Wenjian Liu on television because I was looking for my usual Sunday dose of Meet the Press, which had been preempted for the funeral coverage. Liu was remembered as an incarnation of the American dream, a man who'd emigrated from China at age 12 and devoted himself to helping others in his adopted country. Liu, it sounds like, was a good cop. And it sounds as if his partner, Rafael Ramos, was too. A Chinese-American and a Latino-American. That change right there stands a chance of officers acting from a different police sensibility. Liu, 32, came from clearly a traditional Confucian family where filial piety was central and authority was to be respected. Personally, I'm a Lao Tzu girl myself, not so big on Confucius. Anyway, Liu and his new bride, now widow, Pei Sha-chen, took his parents along on their honeymoon. And I found myself wondering, well, first of all, it can't have been much fun for Pei Sha-chen, and also I wondered if it had been an arranged marriage, not uncommon in some newly immigrated families. But then the widow herself spoke at his funeral, surely breaking with tradition to do that. She wept with real grief. She called her dead husband her soulmate, her best friend, and she said, "I will love you forever," before breaking down entirely. Blue lives matter. And I thought of the Aaron Sorkin lines in A Few Good Men, spoken by Jack Nicholson. "You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall." And then a line of my own came to mind. Hate generalizes. Love specifies. There's the whole kit and caboodle in 4 words. But you have to dare to see the other in order to let in specification. Black lives and blue lives both matter terribly. The rest of us, well, at present we're just plain black and blue. And now for our first guest. UN Women is the United Nations agency focused on, as you might have guessed, women. It is relatively new, and it's a home base for women, since all of the other UN agencies also have sort of women's sections, but this is the place where the buck stops. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka is the UN Undersecretary General and Executive Director of UN Women since 2013. From 2005 to 2008, she served as Deputy President of South Africa, her native country, overseeing programs on poverty and particularly with a focus on women. Prior to that, she was a cabinet minister, and prior to that, a member of Parliament from 1994 to 1996 as part of South Africa's first democratic government. We spoke with her on her cell phone recently. Welcome to the program, Phumzile.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being with us. You have been in the office now since August of 2013, and you're still vertical. You're still standing. Bravissima. It's a difficult office because making the UN understand and actually enforce anything is a long and complex process, isn't it?
Well, in a way, because the UN reflects the world, and the world
right.
is very complex. Our member states come into this unity of nations with all the challenges of their countries, with those that are living in conflict, those where there is significant discrimination against women. All of them have a significant challenge of violence against women. And in all of them, the representation of women where it matters most is still not where we would all like it to be. So, so you really walk into the world as it is out there.
But there have been incredible strides. I mean, I remember the years when we were lobbying to get 1325 passed, that women had to be involved in all peacekeeping and peacemaking efforts, or the consciousness about violence against women being a world epidemic, or just any one of a number of areas, because economics, peace, there's no area that doesn't impact on women. So when UN Women came into being from all the fragmented other little agencies, we celebrated, even though it's a very hard ship to steer, I'm sure.
Yes, no, definitely. Even the fact that actually violence against women in conflict areas is regarded as a security matter is quite important, because there was a time when the fight was seen as a fight between combatants, and everything else, women and children were just on the side. And yet, if you consider that 70% of the people who are affected significantly in these kinds of conflicts and fights are women and children. These are the people who are really trapped in the wars that they have nothing to do with in many cases. So if there's anyone else that would benefit from a peaceful world and who wants to make the world more peaceful, it is women, because they know firsthand what it is to live in areas where there isn't peace. And now with what we regard as a changed approach to the war, where women are specifically targeted as spoils of war, it also means that women, there has to be a strategy in every conflict by those that want a fair world to look at how in any conflict you are going to address the vulnerability of women, and the fact that they are primary targets. As we see, it is the exploitation of their bodies, and it is a very strong attack also on women and girls' education, which is one instrument for women to be independent, to be critical thinkers, to be on their own. There's a systematic attack on that, which affords women, support for them to become independent thinkers and to fulfill their potential.
Yes. I think that there is, I sense a real paradigm shift finally after 45 years of pushing for it, that all of us have been doing. But I sense that there is finally a beginning of a glimmer of understanding in the policy circles of men, and mostly of pale males, that women are at the center of solving whatever it is, whether it's peace and war, whether it's economics.
Yes, very uneven, and it is slow, but there is absolutely a lot of data now that is available for everybody, especially those that work with the United Nations, about what needs to be done, and a recognition and an appreciation of the benefits of putting women in the center of both development and human rights.
Yes. Yeah, well, you have the experience of having gone up against intractable problems before, because of course you fought apartheid in your native South Africa. And you were deputy president from 2005 to 2008. So you're used to extremely challenging situations. When by the time that you leave this post, what would you most like your legacy to be, or is it too early for you to say?
I was afraid that you're going to ask me that question. I am hoping that we would have made education to be central to addressing the many of the challenges that impact on girls. Girls, the forced and early marriages, the burden of disease such as HIV and AIDS, the lack of economic empowerment, all of these things have got poor education in common. It is because women do not have meaningful educational opportunities that make them to be victims of all of these
and trafficking and prostitution and the works, all of it.
The works, the violence. And then of course, I mean, if I were to pick on just one thing that in my tenure I would like us to really begin to have an impact on, it is the violence against women.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that in a country as advanced as the U.S., we have the challenges that we have in university campuses.
Exactly.
Brings it home. And one of the things that is really killing us now is the level of tolerance for violence against women. I mean, if you think that a powerful man can abuse up to 10 women, and from the time the first woman reported, it is years and years of someone becoming a repeated offender, and people not believing the women, deciding to believe the powerful men.
Exactly.
So we would want to reach a world where when the first woman reports,
then and
action
there.
is taken, and then you do not make it possible for the person to be a repeat offender because, they do. I do it because I can.
Exactly. It's entitlement. It's
So this impunity is very important, and also we would like to mobilize good men to talk, to take a stand, to be an active part of trying to be a solution. So we have created this platform and campaign called He for She, through which we are reaching out to men and boys, and we are actually reaching out to men and boys of all types, the ones that get it. That wants to do something, but also the ones that are still actually vague. We just want to log them into a discussion and an engagement of sorts. So the media is a very important partner, because the more the media questions, talks, and takes an intolerant stance on violence against women, the easier it is for us.
Of course. Well, and the media has such power to educate.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
In every country.
That's right. This program is now international, and it's in 110 countries. So,
wonderful! You better be my best friend.
Oh well, you can come. You can come back anytime you want. There is an open invitation.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
And because you're doing wonderful work there, Phumzile, and thank you for being with us today on Women's Media Center Live. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Look forward to talk to you again and to your listeners.
We have to take a quick break here on Women's Media Center Live. I'm Robin Morgan, and I'll be right back with Katrina vanden Heuvel, editor and publisher of The Nation, and we'll be talking about a new book published by The Nation, which is about Molly Ivins' comments on politics, which is hilarious. So don't go away.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan.
Welcome back. Katrina vanden Heuvel is familiar to you from being a political pundit on many of the talk shows. Very smart. And she's also the editor and publisher of The Nation, which is both a magazine, a very distinguished, over 100-year-old one, and a book publisher. My own Fighting Words, a toolkit for combating the religious right, was published by Nation Books. And Nation Books has just come out with a new book on Molly Ivins, and we're going to discuss that. Katrina, welcome back to Women's Media Center Live.
Thank you, Robin. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too. I want to start by congratulating you on is it the 150th anniversary of The Nation?
It is the 150th. It is hard to believe.
Wow.
This place saw the launch of the telegraph machine, and we're here for the launch of Twitter. And
My God.
More important, I think, one thing is the founders wrote in July 1865, the nation must never buy the official line. We're never going to be stenographers to power, dedicated to truth-telling and holding accountable the powerful and righting wrongs and abuses and doing journalism that people trust. So that's part of what I hope we do as we...
You do. You definitely do. Both as book publisher and certainly the magazine itself. Just recently somebody said to me, isn't Katrina both the founder as well as the editor and publisher? And I said, no.
No, I will tell you honestly, Robin, that on some mornings I get out of bed because I still believe that the journalism we do can change the world. The work you do can change the world. But I sometimes feel about 150 years old. So.
Well, I'm sure sometimes days that I am 150 years old. So, but we'll return to the magazine and to the anniversary. I want to take a few minutes and talk about and also congratulate you on publishing Molly Ivins' Letters to the Nation. It is one of the treasures. It is so filled with her wit and her wisdom and her juicy one-liners. She was a genius at aphorisms, wasn't she?
She was a genius. She was an extraordinary friend and ally to so many, too. She liked to say, you got to dance with them, what brung you.
Yeah.
You know, her beloved Texas she brought to life. And think of all the characters. She has this great, George W. George W. alone.
All the shrub of the bushes.
The shrub of the bushes.
Oh, my God.
And then she has wonderful section on, I was just reading this, it's relevant because we may be faced with this character in the grim Republican primaries of 2016.
Oh, Jeb.
She writes, Bush was replaced now by his exceedingly light governor, Rick Perry, who has really good hair.
Yeah.
Governor Goodhair is not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but the chair of a major House committee says Goodhair is much more engaged as governor than Bush was. As the refrain of the country song goes, oh, please, dear God, not another one. You could say that about Jeb as well.
Yeah, of course you could.
She made a gift and a talent out of writing about the Bush family values, so to speak.
And about politics in general.
She came on the Nation cruise several times.
Did she?
Robin, and she was she poked fun at people. She got into verbal tussles with Christopher Hitchens, which is, by the way, how she first came to the Nation. She wrote a letter cussing out Hitchens for some now forgotten attack he'd made on a friend of hers. And she just would not, she wouldn't step back. She was tough.
Was she, as I met her only once and very briefly, but was she in regular conversation as just tossing off these one-liners as well? Because It sounds that way. She was. When she said, I've always claimed being a literate Texan is like being bilingual, just, merciless.
And she, but she was a very serious journalist. I don't know if your listeners know, but in 1976, the New York Times asked her to be part of its feminization drive at the newspaper. And there was some hope that her kind of humor, brightened reportage would liven up the paper. It was not a happy career there, and she left quite quickly. But it was a blessing for Texas because she went back and began writing columns for the Dallas Times-Herald and then the Fort Worth Star-Telegram after the Herald busted up.
Yeah.
And one of her great passions in life, and kind of a sister publication of the Nation, is the Texas Observer, a great feisty publication founded in 1954 in Austin. And she did a lot of fundraising for him. She went and traveled around the country speaking. Anyway, one of my favorite lines, of Molly's was
Mollyism.
I think it was Mollyism, was in describing Pat Buchanan.
Oh, that
his speech at the 1992 convention. Molly said of it, it was better in the original German.
Oh my God! And she said of George Bush that he had the charm. Hearing him, listening to him, has the charm and suspense of old adventure movie serials, as in, will this man ever fight his way out of this sentence alive? It's.
She did a great piece for in 2003. The Nation revived a series it had first done in the 1920s called These United States.
Mm-hmm.
These United States in the 1920s had, for example, W.E.B. Du Bois writing about Georgia, or Willa Cather about Nebraska, and Dreiser about Indiana. And she did
amazing names!
No, it was extraordinary. And she did a great piece in November 2003 that was then in the book called "Is Texas America?" I'm going to leave it to your listeners to decide how she ended up. But she made Texas very much part of an America she both loved. And I think, for her, it was, as she said, she spent much of my life, trying unsuccessfully to explode the myths about Texas. She had a fondness for Ann Richards.
Oh, she loved it, yes.
Yeah, and, she had a fondness for a state which, as she wrote, in serious ways, she had seen go nasty Republican.
The blue-bellied, wall-eyed, lithium-deprived Texas lunatics, she put it. But she said she had been called on in her capacity as the world's leading authority on them. So yes, she can explain, obviously, to crazy East Coast people what that means. At one point, there's a line in here, this is just a treasure, this book. There's a line in here in the Mollyisms saying, in the line of journalistic duty, I attended the God and Country rally featuring Phyllis Schlafly, Pat Robertson, and Pat Boone, and I am filing a workers' compensation claim against the Nation because they assigned it.
And then we got her to cover the Republican convention, which she titled, the piece was Notes from Another Country. And nothing like a Republican convention, Molly wrote, to drive you screaming back into the arms of the Democrats. But she, then she was going to run for office. It was serious. But as she likes to joke, there were sort of 12 nation readers who were going to support her. But, she loved to quote her fellow Texan, Willie Nelson. If we couldn't laugh, we would all go insane. And I think she knew the gift she had to make people laugh so they wouldn't go insane.
Yes, she did. I mean, but there was somehow, though, there was a good-heartedness and a good-spirited twinkle about even her most vicious remarks
It's true.
It's amazing, the balance. Well, talk a little bit in the little time that we have left about the 150th.
So the 150th, we're doing a special, our first event is January 15th at the Schomburg Center in Harlem, and it's toward a third reconstruction. We've got some great people. Patricia Williams, who's been a valued columnist.
Brilliant writer.
Brilliant writer. Eric Foner, great historian of Reconstruction, the Civil War. Ta-Nehisi Coates, who's written some of the great essays in these last years, particularly one on reparations for the Atlantic. Isabel Wilkerson, the Pulitzer Prize-winning biographer, historian of the migration from the south to the north, and our young writer Michael Denzel Smith. And we're doing a forum at the Schomburg to launch the 150th, and we're going to do events around the country to both introduce the nation to a younger generation, but to kind of reintroduce it to those who've become lapsed nationistas. We have a documentary film talking about a great woman, documentary film made by Barbara Koppel, the great documentary filmmaker, which will be out January 15th, and we're going to take that around the country to different kind of
And can people go to the website and find out about all these things?
The Nation. Thank you, Rob. TheNation.com. If you go there, you'll see a kind of, an icon for the 150th event.
And it'll tell people where and how to get tickets and stuff like that.
Yes, everything. If you're in Portland or Seattle, where we're going to do some events, or at the Tucson Book Fair, Salt Lake City even, D.C., September 9th, and St. Anne's Theater. We're going to do a theatrical musical production in October, at the end of October.
Fabulous.
So lots of different,
Fantastic. Oh, Katrina, thank you for sharing this with us, and thank you for publishing. It's called Molly Ivins, Letters to the Nation, edited by Richard Lingman, and it is just a little treasure to hold in your hands and laugh your ass off. Please check it out, and check out The Nation if you haven't, and recheck it out if you have, and check out thenation.com for a year of great celebration of a really fine American institution. Bless you, Katrina. Thank you so
much, Robin.
Thanks for being with us. Happy New Year. And now it's time for the Surrealism Corner. A number of items today, sort of catching up on the backlog. Let's start with Turkey. The Turkish president, who you will remember is part of a religious party, Recep Tayyip Erdogan is his name, used the forum of an international conference on justice and women's rights to declare that women cannot be regarded as equal to men. He said, "You cannot put women and men on an equal footing. It is against her nature because her nature is different. Her bodily constitution is different. You cannot make women work in every job that a man works at, as in communist regimes." So she is capable after all. Give her a shovel and make her work. This cannot be. It would primarily be against her delicate nature, because she can get pregnant, you understand. Not to be outdone by Turkey, Montana, Montana, has a new dress code for female legislators in their state legislature. It's not a particularly formal place, Montana, big on bolo ties, on cowboy boots. People there joke that a tuxedo is a pair of black jeans and a sports coat. But this winter, female lawmakers must now, quote, be sensitive to skirt lengths and necklines. Republican leaders who approved the guidelines say they're just trying to bring a business-like formality to a state legislature of ranchers. Well, of course, the Democratic women, who are in a minority, denounced this as a sexist anachronism. Jenny Eck, a Democratic House member, said the sergeant-at-arms should be standing there with a ruler measuring hemlines and cleavage. It just creates this ability to scrutinize women. It makes it acceptable for someone who's supposed to be my peer and my equal to look me up and down and comment on what I'm wearing. That does not feel right. Representative Ellie Hill, a Democrat from Missoula, just said the whole thing is totally sexist and bizarre, and it's like something out of Mad Men. And last but not least, 2 quotes from the holiday season that I know will make you nostalgic for the holiday season. What will we do now that Michelle Bachmann is gone and is not in the house? She attended a White House Christmas party, and she took the occasion and opportunity to ask President Obama for her Christmas wish, which was that he should bomb Iran. Phyllis Schlafly, whom older listeners will remember as an adversary of feminism from way back, in commenting on campus rape, said, "And what about men? It's only a matter of time before those poor college chaps chat up a woman and get accused of rape. It's really dangerous," she said, "for a guy to go to college these days. He's better off if he doesn't talk to any women when he gets there." Close quote. But that, of course, Phyllis, might make him gay, and that would not be acceptable to her either. I think that evolution was very clever in designing us because clearly it factored in a strong sense of humor, particularly to people with political consciousness, because otherwise we would be committing regular, ritual, continual, and mass suicide. And that's the Surrealism Corner for today. It's time for another break here at Women's Media Center Live. I'm Robin Morgan, and I am asking you not to budge, because we'll be back in just a moment with the great, the one, the only, Lily Tomlin.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan.
And we're back. This next guest really, truly does need no introduction. She's a dear friend. She's done this show before, and today she's with us to talk about her new series, which is coming up, and especially to talk about recently having received the Kennedy Honor in Washington for greatness in the American arts, and her, interestingly enough, ambivalence about that. Here's Lily. Dear Lily, welcome back to the program.
Well, thank you, Robin.
Well, thank you, Lily.
I'm delighted.
Not as much as I'm delighted. I want to start by asking you what it feels like to be a recipient of one of the Kennedy honors. It was this year they honored Sting. I'm not sure why, since he's a British subject, but Al Green, Reverend Al Green, Patricia McBride, the ballerina, Tom Hanks, and for greatness in the American arts. So what does it feel like to be up there in the box watching all this? And also, do they feed you before or after?
They feed you after. They want to make sure you show up.
Is it good? Is it like a banquet or something?
No, it's like a dinner. A regular dinner. It was fine. It was enjoyable. A couple of friends were there and family, and
I saw Jane Wagner behind you, looking lovely.
Yeah, she was looking gorgeous. And that was gratifying. It feels like being on stage any place, except you're not really performing, but you're being performed at or about.
Yeah.
And then you look down and you can barely see the people on stage because it's a big house.
Yeah.
And so I so much more enjoyed the telecast than I did the actual experience, because I could see Jane Fonda's face and Jane Lynch's and Reva's and McKenna.
Yeah, they were
the
great.
Young woman from SNL. But when you look down and the people are looking, and they never quite got a shot like that, which I thought was a lapse on their part. You've got a little bit of a look up, but you don't have that look of looking down into people's faces.
Right.
And
because your box, the presidential, excuse me, the presidential box is all the way at the back in the middle of the first balcony, right?
Right.
Yeah, they should put it on one side closer to the stage so people could see.
Yeah, that would be nice. That's where the Queen sat when I did the Olympics for many years ago in the 70s for England, and the Queen attends.
Yeah.
And she sat in a nice side box, and I always imagined she would like have a catcher's mitt and wave at us. That would be the surprise of the.
The Royal box used to be at the back in the center, but she probably made a fuss, or somebody did, about I can't see. It's a bad seat. It's a bad seat. So they fed you. Was the president and Michelle at the dinner afterward?
Yeah, but they didn't attend the dinner.
Oh, they didn't.
No, not that I'm aware. I think they skedaddled back to the White House.
I see.
And it's like all things that are high points in the culture. You're kind of, if you have any kind of pugnacious or contentious personality, you look at it sort of squint-eyed.
Mm-hmm.
It's very exciting. It's very gratifying to be acknowledged. The side of you, the good girl side of you, is grateful for that, and the sort of bad girl or naughty girl side of you is looks at it more squint-eyed.
Well, it's interesting that you put it that way, because I would say that there are two more, and usually more than two, sides to everything, and rather than good girl, bad girl, the things that make you are in part because of the bad girl. And the bad girl is also the principled political person who you've satirized the culture all your life. So there's an irony to being honored by it. On the other hand,
yeah, it is. It's very ironic, and you you go along with the program.
Well, it's important to go along with it, though. I don't think it's a sellout, because this country, unlike every other developed country in the world, does not subsidize artists or the arts very much. Very few funds go to arts, and it's over the kicking and screaming of the right wing. And so on the rare occasion when this country does formally honor artists, I'm glad you were there, accepting,
Yes, well, I am too. That part of me is glad, is grateful. And I've, it's a hard thing to speak to. It doesn't seem as difficult for you. You're always able to speak to anything.
Oh, that's so not true.
I think it is.
Oh, that's so not true. No, it's just that when I wrote Demon Lover, I did a chapter about ambivalence, or a large chunk of a chapter, and that's what I'm relying on here too, because people who suffer from a lack of ambivalence, it seems to me, are very dangerous. I mean, they can't hold conflicting thoughts in their mind at the same time. They're the people who create death and destruction, it seems to me, whether they're in the halls of government or in terrorist cells. Everything is black and white to them. So I'm very drawn to the people who have a real sense of ambivalence about things, and most of all, a sense of irony. If I wake up in a world where there's no irony, I'll know I'm either dead or at Brigham Young University. I'll do one of two things. So your ambivalence seems to me a very intelligent position.
Well, I had thought of when I was going to have to stand and take the accolades, I was it was so close to the Garner and the Brown shootings, I wanted to, throw my hands up.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't do it. See, it's just like not wearing Cher's dress to the Oscars.
It's like
something you regret the rest of your life.
I didn't know that was a possibility for anyone other than Cher.
It was at one time. It was my possibility, and I didn't seize it.
Well, I'm very glad that you did this, and that you and I think it's important to both have done it and then to talk about the ambivalence afterwards. I really do. I'm sure there are a whole lot of people who accept the Kennedy honors who don't have a shred of ambivalence, who just, don't think of it as a government honor, or just accept it, take the medal and run, as it were. But
I forget who it was that said this, but I'm pretty sure it was Jane Wagner, and she said, "Isn't it amazing how exciting and how boring an event can be?"
At the same time. Well, yeah, there you go. Well, parts of it were a little bit over the top for me in terms of patriotism. The marching band singing.
Well, I think that was their way of, they thought that would be funny and fun for Tom Hanks.
Right.
Because he is like the all-American boy.
Right.
And so Yankee Doodle Dandy. And in the theater, it was a bit more successful in its excess, because you could see the tears coming up more fully.
Uh-huh.
The whole stage is laid out for you, and so you can see.
I see.
The kick up each time, but it was nothing that it might have been something you do it for the family at a holiday.
Right.
And not for a national broadcast.
Well, it seemed a bit over the top for my taste, whereas the women, all of them together, especially Jane, which was no surprise, were absolutely wonderful, and doing their different versions of you, and the clear love and bonding that was. I mean, that was.
Yeah, I was so gratified by the women coming out so downplayed, so simple.
Yeah.
And how brave and mouthing, some words from my repertoire and some words from their own heart. It was I was really moved by the women.
Yeah, except for some moments during the tribute to Reverend Al Green, which were musically stunning. Except for those moments, the women were the most moving part of the whole evening for me. I mean, they were just magical, So you survived that, and
I did.
And you have what do you do with the medal?
Well, I think you have to have a room built for it.
So the construction people are at work building a room for the medal.
Yeah, I should have had people pounding and sawing in the background.
So we are apparently a group of people who are singularly unimpressed with tchotchkes, but the sentiment behind it of the government trying to honor the work that we do.
And Obama and Michelle were adorable. I mean, they were really warm and friendly and totally at ease.
They're good people.
When they greeted us at the White House, we went to the White House before we went to the Kennedy Center.
Oh yeah.
And the president spoke about each one of us to some extent, and he was very generous, and we had our pictures taken with him. That was sort of fun to be in the White House.
Yes.
And in the recesses of it, like to go to the ladies' room.
Yes.
And they had the room, the ante room, and the ante room was lined with pictures of the first ladies.
Take a minute before we go and talk a little bit, and I want you and Jane are going to have to come back closer to the time it actually launches on Netflix, but say a few words about Grace and Frankie, this wonderful series.
Well, that's a series I did with Jane Fonda.
Yes.
And it's about women of our age, and our husbands, our marriage of 40 years, our husbands are law partners, and they take us to dinner right at the top of the show, and we think they're going to announce their retirement, and Jane and I are gratified for that because we don't want to spend another minute together because we don't like each other. And we think our husbands at last will retire. We'll have this last act of our lives we'll have to ourselves and with our husbands. And they tell us that they are divorcing us because they want to get married. They've been in a relationship for 20 years. And so we're absolutely, the rug is pulled out from under us. And we kind of realize we're all we have left.
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's really been fun and kind of exploring, what happens to women when they're left on their own.
This sounds fantastic. And it's written by the same woman or conceived by the same woman who did Friends, right?
Right, Marta Kaufman.
Right.
And her writing partner is Howard Morris.
Wow. And when does it debut on Netflix? It's not.
Well, I haven't heard yet. I'm very excited. They said probably like late spring.
Mm-hmm. May or June.
Yes, right.
All right. Well, you're going to have to come back and talk about it with drums and whistles and a marching band.
Yeah, right. Right.
You don't need a marching band. You are a marching band.
Okay.
I love
From your lips to the goddess's ears.
I love you madly, and my love to Jane Wagner, the dear, brilliant soul.
Oh, well, I would just show you how far President Obama is thoughtful. When they talked about us at the White House,
yeah,
and Jane, of course, was in the audience. There's a small, particular audience, and he mentioned that Jane had written the search, and he said her first thing, JT, which was about a kid in Harlem who befriends. It was written for daytime, for children's programming, and it went on to be played every year for 25 years. But he said someone wrote about JT that it was the most profound comment on class and race that they'd seen on national television.
Good for him.
So he was wonderful.
And good for him for honoring Jane Wagner. I was
delighted.
I go about with a sign all the time saying Jane Wagner is who I want to be when I grow up. So, but then again, that may never happen. Anyway,
let's hope.
Give her my love.
That's another issue about which I'm ambivalent.
Yes, me too. Oh, me too. I don't want to, I may seem to have grown old without growing up, and I'm not sure that's a good thing, but it's what I'm stuck with.
Okay.
Anyway, I love you, darling. Take care of yourself. Give my love to Jane, and we'll be back with you later in the spring when Frankie and Grace comes out. All right?
All right.
Much love.
Love you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Now it's time for one last break here at Women's Media Center Live, where I am still, even after the hiatus, and now ready for the new year, Robin Morgan. You might want to get a pencil and pad out and ready when we come back from the break, because it's going to be time for some activist fighting words.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan.
Welcome back again in time for Fighting Words. We are back in Saudi Arabia, our favorite place. Some of you may remember that before we went on hiatus, I told you about a case of two Saudi women, Lujain al-Hathlul and Maisa al-Amudi, who had been arrested for driving their cars from the Emirates, the United Arab Emirates, across the border into Saudi Arabia. Actually, one did and was going to leave her car parked there, but she was lured further in and then arrested after spending a night and a half in the desert freezing. The second woman, hearing by cell phone from the first that her friend was stranded without food and she was running out of petrol, and so there would be no heat in the car, drove there to bring her blankets and something to eat. Was not even going to cross the border, but was again told to come in and park her car by border police on the Saudi side, and did so, and was arrested. They have been detained for 41 days as of today. One of them in full prison and the other in a juvenile correctional facility because she is younger. And now the latest news is that they are going to be tried in a Saudi, wait for it, anti-terrorism court. The specialized criminal court to which their cases were referred, which is in the capital, Riyadh, tries terrorism cases, but has also tried and given long prison sentences to human rights workers, to peaceful dissidents, to activists, and to critics of the government. You can't even show up to be of support in the courtroom to somebody in Saudi Arabia because you will be arrested. At the same time, in another part of the kingdom, the Commission for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice, which are the religious police, arrested a bus driver, while he was driving a bus full of Taif University female students. It's not clear why they arrested him, but the stranded women students begged the commission members to at least take them to the university or assign somebody to drive them there. No, they were simply left stranded. So this is a real issue, mobility in the kingdom. And of course, it also is the opening to ending the guardianship laws, which make women permanent adult minors. Your pens and pencils up, please. We need letters and emails and attention to this. The email of the Saudi Embassy in the United States is info@saudiembassy.net. info@saudiembassy.net. And we need faxes to the king, even though he is ailing. Still, that's usually the last resort, and he then pardons, even though people are innocent and shouldn't have to have a pardon. But we need faxes to the king, and his fax number and address would be King Abdullah, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, fax number 11966 491 2726. I think you can get away with simply His Majesty King Abdullah, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, fax number 966-1-491-2726. And again, the email of the embassy is info@saudiembassy.net. You can get more information on the hashtags on Twitter. Free Lujain, that's LOUJAIN, hashtag Free Lujain, and hashtag Free Mesa, M as in Mary, AYSA, hashtag Free Mesa. Also on Facebook, if you go to Saudi Women 2, the number 2, Saudi Women 2 Drive, you will get more information there. Please use those pencils and pens and express our global outrage at this situation at all taking place. And the fact that they have been moved now to a terrorism court is genuinely obscene, particularly in the days following on the terrorist attack in Paris against journalists. It's shocking. It's shameful. It's Saudi Arabia. And that's it for today. Join us next week when Ellen Bravo will update us on the status of paid leave policy, and we'll hear about the revolution that's bringing women chefs at last to the fore. And actress, producer, and Latina political activist Eva Longoria will be here for a very personal conversation on why she does what she does in so many areas and with such devotion. This program is syndicated, but if you cannot find the broadcast on a radio station in your area, you can visit us at WMCLive.com for the archive of all our previous episodes, and you can find WMC Live on Facebook, Twitter, and at iTunes worldwide, where you can stream, download, and subscribe to our show's podcast. Portions of this program were taped earlier. Opinions expressed here do not necessarily represent the WMC. Here's the family for Women's Media Center Live. WMC President and Executive Producer of this program, Julie Burton, Senior Producer, Crystal Williams-Chancellor, and our founding sponsor, Regina K. Scully. I'm Robin Morgan, your producer and host. Thank you for being with us. Do join us next week right here on Women's Media Center Live.
For the smartest talk about news, politics, sex, books, religion, race, and more, tune your radio to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan. Audacious, witty, provocative, informative, and fun. It's Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan on WMCLive.com. Talk radio with a brain.